Order. Question number 2, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, my questions to the Prime Minister are asked, does he stand by all his statements?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Why did he make a misleading statement on TVNZ Breakfast yesterday, and I quote him, "I know that these guys are on this track at the moment to nationalise building, nationalise our management funds. They'll be nationalising supermarkets and petrol stations and everything else soon," end of quotes, where New Zealand First has never suggested nationalising the existing KiwiSaver scheme.
Order. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, because it's true, and I was just using the opportunity to make a policy announcement for New Zealand First in case they don't get enough airtime to do it themselves.
Order. Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston.
Why did he say the Kiwi Fund policy would take out competition when New Zealanders will still have the choice of which provider to belong to? Or does he think that the interests of KiwiSaver high-charging providers are more important than KiwiSavers themselves?
Well,
Right Honourable Prime
Mr.
Minister.
Speaker, notwithstanding that the member was typically extremely vague in his speech, what I will say is that what he seemed to be saying in his speech is that under New Zealand First, the government-run KiwiSaver provider would government guarantee the returns. In other words, there would be no losses, there would be assumably no fees, and under that basis, how could anybody compete with that?
Didn't say that. Supplementary question.
Supplementary question.
What undertakings has the National Party made to the members of the Financial Services Council apart from providing the chairperson?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, I can't recall making any. But, Mr. Speaker, what we are keen to do is to promote competition. There is $16 billion in KiwiSaver at the moment, and that $16 billion is well serviced by 20 providers. They provide different strategies and different risk profiles. As the Herald editorial pointed out this morning, having one provider would not be a good thing. And, Mr. Speaker, I think the member should do this. I think he should stop worrying about mucking around with KiwiSaver, which is operating well, and start worrying about Colin Craig.
Supplementary question. Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr.
Order.
Speaker,
Supplementary question.
Speaker, I couldn't, because of the noise, I couldn't hear the end of that answer. Could I hear it again?
Well, the member's lucky. Right Honourable Prime Minister, the member got a supplementary question.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I couldn't hear you either when you gave the ruling.
The Prime Minister finished his question by saying something around he might be better if a man called Colin Craig got more airtime.
Okay.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable.
He's about as good as the last three they've taken on board.
Order.
Supplementary question.
Thank you.
Does he maintain that private providers are the best managers of pension funds, bearing in mind a company called Merrill Lynch lost $53.5 billion in pension funds in 2001 as he was bailing out from the company?
Right Honourable Prime
Mr.
Minister.
Speaker, firstly, I might point out that when I was with Merrill Lynch, they were good. And the difference between me and that member is Merrill Lynch wanted me to work for them. They never wanted Winston Peters, from what I can recall.
Point of order.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Point of order.
Point of order.
I seek leave.
It will be heard in silence.
I seek leave to table a projected cumulative investment management fees chart that arises from the Parliamentary Library, taking into account predictions by Treasury and Infometrics. The second is an Anina Montague-Smith 4 June 2002 report of the previous year of a massive loss by pension funds manager Merrill Lynch, Mr. Key's firm, of course. There's another article by Montague-Smith as well, and just to make sure he doesn't duck out of it,
Order. Just give us the information.
The Wikipedia record of this man's performance and work history, the
Order.
Prime Minister of this country.
Order. For the sake of clarity, we'll put all the leave together. Leave is sought to table about 4 documents. Is there any objection to it? Order. Objection is made.
Supplementary.
Order.
Point of order.
I've put the leave.
No, point of order.
Point of order.
He didn't say no. He said we'll have to check the lot, which assumes he wants to see them.
No. He said he was objecting when leave was put. That's what the member said. Supplementary question. Order. Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koutou te whare. Does the Prime Minister stand by his statement that there is no reason why John Banks should not vote on the Sky City Bill, given his previous attacks on Labour for using Title Philip Field's vote, while that former minister was also facing a criminal charge?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, and the interesting thing will be to see whether Labour vote for the Sky City Bill now.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can the Prime Minister remember making this statement in relation to the then Prime Minister Helen Clark? She, quote, was prepared to cynically cling to power by continuing to exercise Mr Field's vote, no matter what. She would have used any excuse not to act against him to maintain her slim one-vote majority, end quote. And will he stick to his own high principles and refuse to exercise Mr Banks's vote, at least on the Sky City deal?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the member seems to be forgetting something a little bit, either conveniently or otherwise. Taito Philip was a member of the Labour Party, and the Labour Party exercised their vote. Mr Banks is the member of the ACT Party, and he decides whether he votes. Look, the question is, are you guys going to vote for it? Because we all know what you're saying around Auckland.
Order. 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 Question number 3, Honourable David Cunliffe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the